Yo guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel if you've never been here before. So I've just jumped on today to make my weekly forecast for the week commencing 22nd of November until the 26th of November. Gonna forecast these 6 pairs as usual, so let's just jump into it. Alright, so Nzdusd, I've been looking at these two breaks of structure for the last couple of weeks. I mentioned previously that POI there, which has been broken. So what I'm really looking at is to effectively continue this buy situation off of the POI, which caused this last break of structure. So this last break of structure came from this order block down here. We can see the imbalance above it. So for me, that's where we're basically looking to be getting involved with buys out of. And yeah, looking at this 12 hour, we can see a really clear refinement with this big candle with the wick here. So if we are going to see buys, like of course, you know, the fact that it's going up is not certain, but if we are going to be seeing buys, I really am expecting them to come out of there. So what I'm really forecasting on Nzdusd is basically buys coming up out of this area here. So looking at the 4 hour, what we can see, we've got breaker structure and then another breaker structure. So we are technically still in bearish structure on the 4 hour. Now, if we look at this area here, this is the actual last wick that grabbed liquidity before the move that broke structure. And then this week just gone, we've come up into that area and then we're now moving away from it. So really, in terms of a sell into this area, I'd want to see another breaker structure. And then, you know, maybe we'll get something like that for some type of sell move. But honestly, with selling at the minute on Nzdusd, I'm being super careful because I do think that this buy situation is pretty high probability. It definitely doesn't necessarily have to play out, but it is pretty high probability. So what I'm looking at is basically buys out of this area on NU, and then potentially could look for some sells if we get new structures developing. But right now, I'm only forecasting buys, and in terms of following this 4-hour bearish structure, I want to see some new structure develop before I consider any bearish players on NU. So that's NU, and I will do a written forecast of this description. Sorry, a written forecast in the video description. So if you guys want to see that, then just click the link in the description to download it. Alright, so moving on to AU. So AU and NU, they're pretty highly correlated. They are quite similar. The AU structure, so technically we've only had one breaker structure to the high on AU because before that we had a breaker structure to the low there, so we've not got that same trend confirmation that we've got present on Nzdusd. But with AU, what we still have is this full bullish breaker structure which originated from down here, and looking at the refinement of that, I think it's safe to say there's probably an order block in this wick here, and then there could always be an order block further down there on the even lower time frames. So in terms of this whole daily move, this whole daily leg, it's originated pretty much from within that wick to the bottom of that candle. So looking at that, I wouldn't be surprised, like on a new, to see it buy up, and following that logic, I'd look for buys out of there. So with the POI being there, we could potentially look for buys out of there. Now, we do still have a bit of distance to go until that POI. Well, at the minute it's only 20 pips, but if we look at it in terms of from this order block here to there, it could be 60 pip move. Also, we of course don't have to react bullish off this, we could just break through it. So keeping those two facts in mind, looking at the 4-hour structure, we've got a break structure 1, break structure 2, and this second breaker structure here really comes from this area here with imbalance, which I've then refined on the 2-hour into that candle there. So possibly what we'll see on AU is some type of pullback up to this area. We'll sell away from there, and with that I'd initially just be targeting this area. But of course, if this area doesn't hold, it could just continue down. So I think it's worth bearing in mind this sell opportunity, because if this area doesn't hold, it could be a really good entry into a longer term move to continue this whole downtrend. But in terms of what could happen based on the daily break structure to the high, definitely that move makes sense with us breaking structure again to the high. So yeah, AU, we've got buys from the daily POI and sells from this 4-hour refinement. Now, Euro Pound. So it's not a super complex structure on Euro Pound really. We've got a break structure once, break structure twice, so we've now got essentially our confirmed bearish trend on the daily. What I can see with this price action is that the candles are very impulsive and aggressive. So to me that suggests that we may just be continuing down in an aggressive manner. But also what we've got is this order block here, which caused the breaker structure. So looking at EG, I've pretty much seen two primary opportunities. So we've got a pullback up to this order block here, which has got imbalance, which caused the overall impulsive leg, which broke structure. So we could definitely see a sell out of there. Now, considering the distance, if we are going to pull back to there, I wouldn't really be looking for sells this week, because it's probably going to take a week for us to get back up there if it does start to reverse. So if we do start to see some type of reversal coming in, then we could potentially be looking for these counter trend plays on the lower time frame, which will take us back up to that daily point of interest. So if we do see this reversal come in and price starts to move back up there, could potentially look for buys on the way up, counter trend of course. But then when it gets there, I would definitely be looking for sells. But now, like I've said, with the impulsive nature of these candles, it does seem like it's a bit hopeful to expect a big retracement to come in. And what we're pretty much going to be needing to see before we can expect that we are going to see that overall bullish counter trend move to happen, bringing us back up there, is some type of shift of market structure. So until we basically see this structure broken, and then ideally another structural break after that, we can't really expect that price is just going to start pulling back. So keeping that in mind, it's very possible that this aggressive move will just continue going downwards. And if it is going to continue downwards, then I've marked on this POI here, which is a candle with a high buy volume that has imbalance below it, which caused this most recent 4-hour breaker structure. So what I'd expect is that price will just pull back at the start of the week, maybe on Monday, and then just start to sell off aggressively from there. And yeah, if we do see that, that could be a pretty nice opportunity to get involved in a sell to then continue this big bearish move that's happening at the minute. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with the Euro Pound. Ideally for me, probably we'd just get to see this aggressive bearish move. But if we do start to see structure breaks to the high, then we know why, and it's because it's pulling back into this higher time frame point of interest there. And then once we do eventually reach there, we can look at this sell, hopefully catch a nice sell on the way back down if we do get up there. But yeah, start of a week, I'll be keeping my eye on this area if I'm available at the chart. So euro dollar. Let's look at euro dollar. So it's pretty clear really with euro dollar that we're in a downtrend. So we're definitely looking for sells on euro dollar right now in terms of what's happening on the daily anyway. So the real question is just where do we sell from? So on the daily, we've got this order block here, which caused this whole impulsive leg. So definitely if we did retrace back up to there, I'd be looking for sells, and that's similar to what's happening on Euro Pound. But if we are going to get back up there, I think it could potentially take weeks. So in the shorter term, you would really want to be looking for counter trend buys if you're expecting price to go up there. Now looking at the lower time frame on the 4-hour, there is this slightly lower down order block. So this caused the most recent 4-hour breaker structure. So potentially we could be looking at sells out of there instead, and that one does seem a bit more realistic in terms of how far of a pullback it's going to do before it continues the move, considering how aggressive it is. So definitely, if we start to see price come up into there then reacting, we can look for sells out of there. But with the overall aggression of euro dollar, similar with euro pound, it might not even go back up. It may literally just push down, a little retrace, and then it continues, something like that. So right now, I can't really predict that situation because we've not had this break of structure to the low. But if we do get a break of structure to the low, then maybe we'll get some type of situation like that for us to look at taking a sell from. So yeah, really what I'm forecasting on euro dollar is either sells from this daily point of interest, this 4-hour point of interest, or some type of newly developed 4-hour or daily point of interest, which will basically give us a reference point to take price lower. Other than that, if we do start to see break structure to the high, we could potentially look for some sort of counter trend long positions, but I would be careful with any type of counter trend longs because there is just so much bearish momentum right now. I don't think that there'll be super high probability unless there's a lot of confirmation. So pound dollar. So pound dollar, like I predicted in the last week, we ended up reaching this target on the 2-day, and then after that we start to pull back. Now, for me at this point, the 2-day trend has pretty much been confirmed as bearish, and looking at the daily, we then have this point of interest here. So yeah, sorry, this is one I forecasted last week. And last week I forecasted price will pull up into this candle and then start to sell off away from it. Now, we've not actually managed to get to that candle yet, so we have come up into this wick here, which could be considered an order block in itself, but we've not actually pulled back up into this candle. So what I'm really looking at is in line with the 2-hour structure. We've got this range from here to here, which still hasn't been broken. Price start to reject off it. So I'd expect basically bullish reaction from here to take out these equal highs, and then after we take out equal highs and we're reacting from this area, we'll get a reaction from that daily order block and then move down. So yeah, for my prediction on pound dollar, I'm looking for short-term buys up to this point of interest and then sells away from that. If this structure changes and we start to sell straight away, then I'll be open to some sells using new structure. But until we get a break of this structure here, I'll be looking for buys and then sells away from the daily order block. So that'll be sells from there, and we can get a short-term buy there. So yeah, let's see what the pound dollar gives us this week. So pound yen. Now, pound yen, I'm not really a fan of this 4-hour structure. For me, maybe if we do come back up here, then I can look for a sell back down. But right now, I'm not really expecting price necessarily will come back up here because it's just such a big retracement if we are going to play off this order block anyway. So my real prediction right now on pound yen is that we're going to pull down into this order block here, which calls for the overall daily breakup structure to the upside, and then we'll continue higher. So pound dollar, I've not really got much to forecast this week with pound dollar. It's really just waiting for a position. And like I showed last week, my refinement of this order block is down here. So I'll be looking for a buy position coming out of this area, and hopefully we can ride it into the high highs eventually. But in terms of what's happening until then, right now there's nothing clear for me, so I'm not going to forecast any other situations on pound yen. Alright guys, so thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and please comment on the video. Anything that you want to say or you want to ask me. So I should be back next week for my next forecast, which will be the 10th one I've done. So thank you guys if you watch this frequently. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you're subscribed, then thank you very much. I'm very grateful for your subscription. And with that, please have a good week, guys. Please trade safe, follow your trading plans, and enjoy. Cheers, guys.